So we are live with Chris. Okay, so thank you so much, Chris, for coming through with us for the Fall in Love with Fitness Summit. Now this is
My pleasure.
this is a pre-recorded talk here, but we are live on our end here. So just because I would definitely want to have and to make sure I can work with all the speakers and coaches that are in Vancouver, that are outside of Vancouver in different time zones, and also of course scheduling. So I want to make sure that you guys have access to the summit for this one and also for future ones. All right, so we'll just do an intro to Chris here. Chris is, so she's from Positivity Power Words. And Chris is passionate about helping people transform their mindset and boost daily motivation with simple, practical tools. In this session, Messages from the Wall, Chris will show how something as small as a sticky note can create meaningful shifts in mood, mindset, and motivation. You'll learn how to use positive reminders to reframe your thinking, build momentum, and approach each day with a stronger, more empowered mindset. And here's Chris.
Hey there. Welcome to Messages from the Wall. How to use sticky notes to improve your mood, your mindset, and your motivation. I am Chris Jud. I am the Chief Results Officer and Head Shit Togetherer at Positivity Power Words. And I am excited. I am so excited, Ryan. Thank you for this opportunity to share my message for the betterment of all humanity. Because that's who's going to watch this, right? All y'all better tell friends because we're all awesome. So let me get into messages. I have been asked when sharing this message before, are your walls talking to you? And the answer to that is yes. Not because I'm hallucinating, but because there are sticky notes on my walls. And kinda they're talking to me. Sorta, give or take maybe a little bit. Um, Not really, because it's not auditory, so they're not like talking to me, but there may be kind of a little talking to me. So you decide if my walls are talking to me or not. This, let me give you a little bit of background on where I came into this. I was in direct sales for about 20 years. And one of the things I learned there was to use Ivy Lee's 6 most important things to do list. Ivy Lee was a consultant back in the booming era of John D. Rockefeller and Henry Ford and all the big, powerful billionaire names of the day. And he went to Mr. Rockefeller and said, I can improve the productivity of your entire organization. You'll pay me what you think it's worth in 6 months when I come back. How does that sound? And Mr. Rockefeller, being a very intelligent man, said, that sounds great. Go for it. So this is what Ivy taught all of these titans of industry to do. Every night before you leave work or before you go to bed, write down a list of the 6 most important things that you have to get done the next day. You gotta get them done. Otherwise, life will lose all meaning. And if you don't get everything done on that list, then the things you didn't get done become the first things on the next day's list. And you keep going like that, and you keep going, and you keep going. And in 6 months, Ivy Lee came back to Mr. Rockefeller and said, well, what's it worth to you? And he wrote a check for $37,000. Now, that might not sound like a huge amount of money today, but when you factor in inflation and all of that good stuff, it's worth about $4.5 million, which is, I'm sure you'll agree, a huge amount of money for a simple sticky note on your desk with 6 things listed on it. So I figured if sticky notes can tell me the 6 most important things to do in a day, what if they could tell me the most important things to do in my life? And that's where my sticky note habit was born. I happen to have read a blog post by one of my mentors, John Morrow, who is the mastermind behind Smart Blogger, which is the world's largest blogging website. And he wrote this amazing blog post on unstoppable.me called 7 Life Lessons from a Guy Who Can't Move Anything But His Face. Because John has a severe form of muscular dystrophy, and literally all he can move is his face. He can't move any of the rest of his body. And he was in a car accident back when he could move a little bit more. And he was pinned under his 300-pound wheelchair and was stuck there for hours like that. And the accident shattered his legs. He was in the hospital for a month and then in rehab for a year, trying to get back to where he had been previously. And he said in this blog post, it would have been really easy for me to despair, but I had to take a step back and say, this is my life now. What's next? And that was my very first sticky note. This is my life now. What's next? So when you are doing sticky notes and you're putting them up on your walls, who do you quote? You can quote freaking anybody. You can quote everybody. You can quote nobody. Like nobody famous ever said, I know what I'm doing. But you can write that on a sticky note and put it on your wall. I have about 8 of them that say, I know what I'm doing. You can quote yourself. You know, if you said something brilliant while you were giving a webinar presentation, write it down, stick it on your wall. It's awesome because you said it. You just have to remind yourself of it. You can quote your favorite books. You can quote your favorite music. You can quote your favorite TV shows. You can quote people from seminars like me. You can quote anybody and everybody and nobody that you can think of. If a thought occurs to you and you think, man, I need to remember that one, write it on a sticky note and put it on your wall. So where do you put your sticky notes? Because it's not just walls. You can put them everywhere. And I have a list that I am going to read. You can put them in your bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, living room, dining room, sunroom, patio, Arizona room, den, office, basement, attic, dungeon, sitting room, foyer, oubliette, parlor, pantry, playroom, cubicle, car, desk, computer screens, TV, stereo, nursery, greenhouse, outhouse, funhouse, workbench, garage, shed, laundry room, mudroom, closet door, inside and outside, mirror, fridge, freezer, coffee maker, microwave, oven door, spice rack, nightstand, bookshelf, headboard, treadmill, exercise bike, fish tank, dog kennel, cat crate, window, garden gate, mailbox, bird feeder, porch rail, fence post, filing cabinet, whiteboard, corkboard, instrument case, craft table, sewing machine, makeup mirror, medicine cabinet, lunchbox, backpack, suitcase, toolbox, water bottle, and the bathroom mirror at your best friend's house. Now, in some of these places, just plain sticky notes won't work all that well. For example, on the bathroom mirror, it gets fogged up, stuff will fall off, it just doesn't work all that well. Dry erase markers work great on mirrors and windows. They can even work well on some of your appliances, but you want to test in an inconspicuous spot first. Because I have had it where there was like this big purple blob on the front of my refrigerator that I couldn't get rid of if life depended on it. So make sure that you can wipe it off first. Outside, you would want to laminate your sticky notes or put them in one of those clear folder sheets thingies and tape it shut, and then duct tape that sucker to your fence post, to your bird feeder, to your swimming pool, everything. Put it everywhere. Put it absolutely everywhere that you need to be able to see it, to remind you of the message that you decided to save from your walls. What do you put up on your walls? It's not just quotes. It's not just non-quotes. You can put anything on your walls. You can have inspiration. You can have encouragement. You can have reminders. You can have a gratitude practice that plays out in sticky notes on your bedroom walls. You can write down the steps to take to do a thing. I've put steps to take to make surf and turf with roasted asparagus and potatoes with a peach tart tatin for dessert. Oh, so yummy. That came out so nice. But I put it up on my kitchen cabinet so I didn't have to keep going, what was I supposed to do next? I could just read it off my kitchen cabinets. You can put testimonials, for example, from various and sundry organizations I've been a part of. You are a wealth of inspiration, Chris Jud. On a sticky note. Girlfriend, you give the best answers and advice on earth. Literally stop second guessing that. On a sticky note. You know how to give motivated kicks in the butt without being condescending or dismissive, which is a rare skill. On a sticky note. I love how you share so generously, especially considering what you wrote about, feeling anxious about all the rest of us. Your courage inspires me. I have more. I could keep going. But this isn't about how awesome I am. It's about how awesome your walls are about to be once you get all this going. So how does this work? The basic way that you're going to go, well, duh, Chris. I figured that one out. How does sticky notes work? Well, the basic way it works is that you grab sticky notes and you grab a Sharpie. You apply the Sharpie to the sticky notes with the message you want to keep, and then you put it on a wall. That's how it works. That's it. That's the whole thing. We can all go home now. But if you want a more detailed explanation of how it works, this is what we've got going. Presumably, you know what a flamingo looks like. Bright pink bird, stands on one leg, in the water or on the beach or whatever. And you think, man, that is a gorgeous bird. That is just beautiful. But the thing is, they don't start that way. When flamingo babies are hatched, they are ugly gray balls of floof. And they stay ugly balls of floof until they start eating. Flamingos have a steady diet of algae and plankton and the little microscopic, that's not a word, microscopic organisms, because they're filter feeders. Basically, they drink the water, the things are in the water, and that's how they get their nutrition. Now, these things have a lot of carotenoid in them, which is a chemical that is often used in lipstick and in blush because it turns things red, including flamingos. So to get the beautiful, gorgeous pink flamingo, the flamingo is what it eats. And that applies to us too. You are what you eat. I heard a comedian say once, if you eat a lot of fat, greasy food, you're going to be a fat, greasy dude. And it applies mentally too. You are what you eat. If all you do is sit on your couch all day and watch Criminal Minds and Fox News, your brain is going to go at you, and you're going to have a nervous breakdown because all that negativity is just so heavy and it weighs on you so much, and you get depressed because of what you're watching on TV. Ask me how I know. How do you know? I know from experience. Because I used to watch Criminal Minds. I loved Criminal Minds. But then it got so dark. Oh my gosh, did it get dark. And I couldn't watch it anymore. I had to stop watching the news. I like knowing what's going on. Except not anymore. Not now. At all. And I had to stop. I used to read a lot of murder mystery books that were just really dark and psychological and just, yeah, can't do it anymore. Like, the closest I can get to murder mysteries are Faye Kellerman and J.D. Robb. And both of them have a lot of interpersonal relationships going on alongside the murder mystery, which balances it out and makes it okay in my brain. You have to consume a ton of positivity to counteract all the negativity in the world. You have to. Otherwise, you're going to lose your freaking mind. And I mean that literally. You are going to lose control over your mind. It's going to take you to dark places, and things are going to get really, really nasty in your head. And I don't want that for you. And I'm pretty sure you don't want that for you either. So when you put words on a piece of paper, when you write words on a piece of paper, three things happen. First, it's external storage. You have an external hard drive for your laptop. Sticky notes are kind of like an external hard drive for your brain. When I write something down, I don't have to remember it anymore because it's on a piece of paper where I can see it. For example, stop, sort, shift, act. I can't remember that if my life depended on it. It's a step-by-step answer to, okay, how do I deal with all this crap in my head? I have to stop. I have to sort it out. I have to shift my mindset. And then I have to act on it. Stop, sort, shift, act. Right there where I can see it. Literally this far. Well, my hands don't, the screen doesn't go that far. It's part of a whole string that I taped to my desk. And I'm going slow so you can read them all. And they are right there where I can read them at all times. This one right here is my favorite. You aren't, I can't read it in the screen. You aren't ignoring tasks, you are sequencing them. That's not procrastination. It's project management. I wrote that one down because I have been procrastinating since I was, I don't know, knee high to a grasshopper. I'd leave everything to the last minute. My senior year of high school, I had to write a thesis to graduate because it was like a really educational place. And my project was due at 8:00 Monday morning before the first bell rang at school. And I had everything put together in bits and pieces. I just had to type it all up together and staple it. That's it. That's all I had to do. So I retyped everything into my Apple IIe because that's how old I am, and went to print it, and the printer was out of ink. I grew up in a small town. We didn't have places that sold printer ink. The closest place was an hour away, and it was Sunday, so they closed early. There was no way I was getting ink for my printer to print out my senior thesis. So I wound up at my grandparents' house using my granddaddy's old Commodore 64 because that's how old he was. And the Commodore 64, it didn't underline, it didn't do italics. So I got a point knocked off for not having those done. But I retyped that whole 47-page paper on my granddaddy's computer. It only printed out one page at a time. So I had to go to the page and hit print, and it would print the page that was on the screen. And then scroll to the next page and do it again. And scroll to the next. And I was there until 3 a.m. My paper was due 5 hours later. Because I leave things to the last minute. I procrastinate. But now I know it's not procrastination. It's project management. The second way sticky notes work is by encoding. When you write something down, it gets slurped up into your hippocampus. The hippocampus is the part at the back of your head that stores memories. That's where all your memories are stored. They're stored elsewhere throughout the brain too, but the hippocampus is the big man on campus. Has nothing to do with going to college, has nothing to do with hungry water animals. It is part of your brain that is the first to start to lose power and to start failing you as you get older. And that's where dementia has its birth. That's where Alzheimer's has its birth, is in the hippocampus, because you start losing those memories. And when you write something down, it encodes in your hippocampus. Sure, you can type something, but that's just really, really not going to do the same thing at all. And the third way that it gets stored in your brain is generation. And I don't mean the boomers and Gen X and the millennials and Generation Z and Generation S and Generation PDQ, and I don't freaking know what half these generations are anymore, because I'm a Gen Xer and that's how old I am. But when you write something down, first you decide what color sticky note you want to use. Then you decide, is it a lined sticky note or an unlined sticky note? Then you decide what you're going to write it with. I do Sharpie because I can read Sharpie even from across the room. But you might do a paint with a paintbrush. You might do a colored pencil. You might do, the blood of the firstborn child, like they did back in biblical days for Passover. My firstborn has never showed any interest in being on my sticky notes, so I leave him alone. So I stick with Sharpie. And how you write it, you can write it in cursive if you're a Gen X or a boomer, because nobody else knows how to write in cursive. You can write it in bubble letters. You can write it in a thought cloud. You can write it in hieroglyphics. You can write it in Nordic runes. You can write it in 18 different foreign languages. However you choose to write it, that generates another iteration of it in your brain. Because if I just write it with a Sharpie on a yellow sticky note, that is 2 ways of encoding. Yellow sticky note, Sharpie. If I then write it on a pink sticky note with a Sharpie, that's another layer. If I then write it on a green sticky note with a Sharpie, that's another layer. If I write it on a green sticky note with a Sharpie in French, that's another layer. And so on and so forth. You get the idea. Now, the next part is especially important because this is how you store that sticky note in your brain. And when you read it, it encodes differently in your brain because you're going to use a mix of first person, second person, and third person. Now, if you don't remember your middle school grammar lessons, first person is I and me. I am talking about myself in first person. Second person is you and y'all. So if I say, Ryan, you are awesome, you are great, you know what you're doing, that's second person. Third person is when you call somebody by name. Ryan, you are great. Chris is awesome. When I was in my church youth group, when I was a teenager, my dad was one of the youth group leaders. I got to call him John because having your dad there was not cool. So John was there. And for each of us in the group that was there, he read, I think it's 1 Corinthians, love is patient, love is kind, so on and so forth. But he went around the room and read it in the third person for each of us. So hearing someone you love read a Bible passage that starts off with Chris is patient, Chris is kind, Chris bears no, I don't remember. It's all escaping me because it's not on a sticky note right here for me to see it. And my Bible is in the other room. But you get the idea. Third person. And when you do that, let's say, own that you're worth it, which is right there across the room from me. Own that you're worth it. That's second person. If I wanted to change that to first person, I would say, own that I'm worth it. Change it to third person, own that Chris is worth it. That's 3 different ways of encoding, 3 different ways of generation, 3 different means of external storage. So it all resonates, it all hits harder because it's all in there. You just have to remind yourself of it with the sticky note across the room. And when you do that, number one, you multiply your sticky notes. So you can have the walls covered in every room of your house. I had a client who wanted sticky notes not seen all over her house. So for her, it was on the insides of her closet doors. Sticky notes from top to bottom. It was on the radio console thingy in her car instead of on the steering wheel or on the dashboard. So you can put them anywhere, everywhere. Just don't put them nowhere, because then they won't do you any good because they're not there. That's how that goes. So with sticky notes, you start getting into Maslow's hierarchy. If you're not familiar, it's this psychological construct that this guy named Maslow came up with, like in the 1940s, 50s, somewhere in there. And it's basically a pyramid. And you have to have the foundation built before you can put the second layer. And the second layer has to be solid before you can put the third layer and fourth layer and fifth layer. So you have to go in order. The first layer is your psychological needs. Sticky notes improve your physiological needs. Physiological needs. Sticky notes can help with that, with things like having a recipe on your kitchen cabinet. They can help with that by reminding you to pick up bread at the grocery store on your way home. Don't know why you're not having it delivered, but that's just me. Because I have physical health issues, so everything gets delivered. I am not carrying a thing in. I am not walking through a grocery store. None of it. It's all delivered. So physiological needs. You can write a grocery list on the side of your refrigerator in dry erase marker, because it's right there, and you don't have to go find a sticky note. You just have a dry erase marker stuck to your fridge. You just write on the fridge. I have like 6 grocery lists on my fridge because I keep forgetting to erase them. I don't know why. Probably because it's not on a sticky note somewhere reminding me to erase them. Safety. Sticky notes are huge for your safety because they can tell you things like one that's right up there on a bright yellow sticky note, so it immediately draws the eye. Unfuck yourself. Because whether you want to believe it or not, you are fucked up. And in order to regain some level of safety, you have to unfuck yourself. That's how it goes. The third step is love and belonging. That's where other people know, like, and trust you. Sticky notes are huge for that in the second and third person. Because if I say, you're worth it, that's me knowing, liking, and trusting you. If I say, you are not your thoughts, you are what you do, I know, like, and trust you. If I say, you are the goose that lays the golden eggs, I know, like, and trust you. The next level is esteem. This one is where I often get stuck because I also have some psych disabilities, and knowing myself is okay. But when it comes to liking or trusting myself, I get a little shaky sometimes. That's where the first person and third person work together. So I can say, I can do anything anyone else can do. Or I could say, Chris's creativity needs consistency to thrive. Or I can say, right here, I am enough. My work is enough. Their yes or no does not define me. I am here to guide, not to prove. That's my esteem. That's where I know, like, and trust myself. And then the top level is self-actualization. This is where you truly accept who you are and come into your own potential and fulfill that potential. This is where all of the inspiration on your walls comes into play. The words that matter are the ones you write. We are all just one small adjustment away from making our lives work. I'm reading directly from my wall. Perfectionism is the voice of the oppressor, the enemy of the people. To wish you were someone else is to erase the you that you are. Directly from my walls. I've got a stack here that need to go up on my walls. This is about an inch and a half thick, that I need to rewrite onto fresh sticky notes because I moved recently, so I don't have everything back up yet. The ones that are up now are all new ones. And then I've got more than 200 more to start putting up. And then I get to start rewriting them, putting them in other rooms in the house. I don't have a lot of art wall stuff, wall art stuff, art wall stuff. I don't have a lot of stuff to put on my walls to look pretty. So sticky notes are going to be my main adornment for my walls. People are going to be able to come into my living room and see a cacophony of color and read all about the inspiration and the not motivation. Motivation comes from within, not from without. Inspiration comes from without and fuels motivation. If you want a lot more examples of sticky note messages, there is going to be a PDF on my website that goes into more detail on everything I've talked about today, and has probably 80 to 100 examples of sticky notes on the list. Don't just put sticky notes up on your wall. If you've got a certificate in something, slap that on your wall. If you got a diploma, put that on your wall. If you got a greeting card, put that on your wall. I had certifications from financial management firms, from private security modalities that I had earned the right to use. Certifications from the direct marketing, direct sales company that I was with. One time I was the queen of sales in my unit. I sold more than anybody else did, which is weird because, like, I'm the biggest introvert in the world. So you can't tell because I fake extrovert really, really well. But I'm still an introvert because it's just me and Ryan here. And none of you people are here yet because we're pre-recording. But there are, a lot of different things you can put on your walls. If you have your baby's footprints on like a piece of construction paper, put that up on the wall. I've got handprints that were turned into flowers from my babies when they were little, right over there on the wall. Right there. So they are always with me. Anything that inspires you, anything that reminds you of how truly amazing you are, put it on your walls. Don't hide it in a filing cabinet. It doesn't do you any good in a filing cabinet. Put it on your walls because you are worth it. You are worth it. Visit me at positivitypowerwords.com. Email me, Chris, Kriss, at positivitypowerwords.com. Visit my calendar at oncehub.com/Chris, Kriss, to get on my calendar and see how I can help you with your walls and making them speak to you. Thank you.
Beautifully said, Chris. Hopefully, you can hear me, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing. Thank you for sharing that. That is a ton of information. Holy smokes! Like, some certain points of your talk there, I was definitely getting goosebumps on that one. And having that reminder of what you want to achieve and how important we are, because we always want to help others. We always want to achieve, or not necessarily achieve, but I know I was talking to some people recently, and it's always outside of us. And we have to understand that we have to take care of who we are too and love who we are.
Absolutely.
A reminder. And honestly, thank you so much for sharing that. That is absolute gold for anyone and everyone to hear this, because we need to be reminded of how important we are as individuals, and to make sure that we feed the mind and feed the soul with positivity. And the news, I get it. Yeah, there's just so much negativity, and it's but definitely we need your message. We need your skill set to take out of your clients and people's heart and soul that may be hidden, that may be covered by other negative situations, and then you come along and help us. Like, yes, we do have that. We can be that pink flamingo. I love what you shared with us. Thank you so much. Definitely for the audience, hit up the website, look at that PDF, reach out for the contact to talk to Chris more, and follow her inspiration, and also to keep in touch through social media, your social media channels too as well.
Yep.
But that was absolutely amazing, Chris. Thank you so much for that. And
Oh,
but
thank you for having me. I truly appreciate it. Thank you.
yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I love the talk. I love that. I love that. So yeah, so for people on the audience here, reach out, save it, get those sticky notes happening. And just a quick touch base on the sticky notes. I remember when I was doing my personal training certification, and we had to do I think it was parts. I think it was muscles and bone. And my niece at the time, she was like in high school, grade 7 or 8, and I would write down the muscles or the bones on the sticky note, and I would paste it all over her body, so I know what muscle groups or bones.
That is awesome.
Mm-hmm. And having the journal writing things down. Yeah, I know we have our notes on our phone, but to have it written down, to have that color coding, to have to speak in the first person, second, and third person, absolute, just wonderful information for us to improve ourselves. Right? Thank you for that. And then yeah, so cyber hugs. Oh, where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from?
I'm originally from a small town in Northwest Ohio that you've never heard of, and I'm currently living in a small town in East Central Kentucky that you've also never heard of.
You never heard of. Awesome. Yay. Beautiful. Okay. So, yeah, people get on board, send that email, get that contact information, get that PDF. All right. I'm going to hit end here for us. And hopefully